Welcome to our Essential Wellness Community webinar. Today we have with us Elizabeth Mara, and she'll be presenting on balancing emotions naturally with essential oils and wellness products and lifestyle choices. Elizabeth is a LMT and a gifted intuitive healer. She's also an essential oil educator, a doTERRA Diamond wellness advocate, and the mother of two beautiful children. So we're super happy to have her with us today to share her wisdom and to teach us a little bit about using natural solutions to balance our emotions. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Tracy. I'm super excited to be here on this webinar with you all today, and to be speaking about a topic that is so near and dear to my heart. I chose this topic because balancing emotions has been something that, or having balanced emotions is something that goes back for generations as a challenge in my family. There's been a lot of depression and anxiety in my family lineage. And my mother even committed suicide when I was 15 in the midst of a depressive episode. So I have a real passion for sharing natural solutions about balancing your emotions. And I'm just super excited to be here with you today on this webinar. So really what I want to convey to you is that this information is really meant to give you empowered self-care and not a diagnosis or a treatment. You know, I'm not diagnosing or treating any particular mental illness or anything like that. I just want to be clear at the outset. These are really suggestions, ideas of where to look for things that might be contributing to your mental health and your emotional balance or lack thereof. And I really want to give you tools to start exploring these products, these beautiful, wonderful essential oils and essential oil infused products and the supplement line, etc., that doTERRA has to offer, because they are some of the most impactful tools that I've found for balancing my own emotional health and those of others. So I'm really speaking from my own personal experience in my own life, as well as my 13 years as a massage therapist with many different clients coming in and out of my practice who definitely, many of them had emotional issues they were dealing with, as well as structural bodywork kinds of issues. And of course, the two often go hand in hand. So I just want you to really take in this information almost like an explorer, like asking lots of questions, being curious, and really you are the one that's going to know best for your body. And it's your experience that's going to tell you whether something is right for you or not. Not every single suggestion here is necessarily going to be right for everyone, but I have kind of an array of things to do and places to look to up-level your emotional wellness and your self-care practices. And so it's with that spirit that I'm bringing you this information today. Okay, so I want to go over just a few statistics to start, just so we can really have an understanding how prevalent this issue of mental emotional balance is. So 300 million people live with depression worldwide. So that's a staggeringly huge number. And that number is on the rise. It's not diminishing, unfortunately. And then about 264 million people are living with anxiety. And of course, the two often go hand in hand, right? We see that one leads to the other. And then a whole host of other issues can come up as well. So, and then below that, we're seeing anxiety disorders in about 18% of Americans. And 23% of those are diagnosed with a severe case of anxiety even. And that's things that might keep you from wanting to go outside your house or to work, or, that really heavily impact your life. And then over on the side here, also, I think this is a really key point to recognize, is that of those people who are suffering from anxiety, and this goes for depression too, 60% of those are women. So it's much more likely as a woman to have these issues than a man. Not that men don't have them, but the numbers are higher. And I'm going to get into a couple of reasons why I think that is in the next few slides. Now, over on the right here, this statistic really is the statistic that solidified my commitment to sharing doTERRA and these health and wellness products and natural solutions for emotional balancing with as many people as I possibly can, because preschool children are actually the fastest growing market for antidepressants. And it just kind of boggles the mind that that's actually true, and that these heavy hitting medications are being used on small children. So I'm not saying that medication isn't useful in some cases, but when we see a statistic like this with small children, it begs the question, why, and what else could we do instead? And again, medication, it can be useful, and I've certainly utilized it myself in the past for short periods, but you really want to take a look at the options and see if there's some other changes you can make. And I'm going to give you lots of suggestions here. But before we go on, I do want to make one point, and that is if you're pondering going off any antidepressant or an anxiety medication you're on, please, or any medication you're on really, please, please, please consult with your physician. You do not want to just go cold turkey on those sorts of things, because the brain takes some time to adjust. And I definitely have experienced this firsthand. So take it from me. Don't just ditch your medication. Please, if that's something you want to do to transition to natural solutions, make sure you talk to your doctor, please. And for your children too, if they're on those medications. Okay. So now I want to go through some contributing factors this would be contributing factors to a lack of emotional balance. So some of these things might ring a bell for you. And if they do, I suggest you make a note and make a commitment to make some shifts in your life, because even these small shifts can make a huge difference in how you feel throughout your day. So being idle when our bodies want to move, I mean, that is a huge one. So many of us are behind a computer screen, sitting on our phones. We're not moving in the way that maybe our body is wanting us to. So really listening to our bodies and seeing how we can get more movement in our lives. And of course, regular daily exercise is a wonderful thing to do for yourself. Number 2, eating unrecognizable foods. So foods that are synthetic or are made up in a lab are all suspect when we think about our emotional balance, because they're not things that our bodies have evolved to process. So if you have a lot of processed food and food with unrecognizable ingredients in it, I highly recommend going through your cupboards and making a shift there and making a commitment to eating a whole food, healthy diet. Exposing ourselves to environmental factors that assault our cells. So cleaning products, some face care products, even, shampoo, soap, like those antibacterial soaps, etc. Or if you have those plug-in air fresheners, all of those things can contribute to a lack of health. And those are things that we certainly can shift and replace with doTERRA products. Now, this next one, drug-induced depression and anxiety. This is a big one, because for me, in my massage practice, I saw a lot of people struggling with symptoms and things going on in their bodies that they didn't understand where they could have come from. And a lot of times we would talk it through. I would do body work on them. We would work it through, or they could be headaches, it could be depression or anxiety, it could be stomachache, etc., that was persistent, and we just couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Well, I would say 9 times out of 10, eventually it would come out that they were taking some sort of medication. But then I would say, oh, well, why don't you take a look at the side effects for that particular medication? And so often they would find that the particular issue they were having was one of the side effects of their medication. So I'm just bringing this to your attention so you can do your research, so you can do your homework, so you can go in there and look and see if some of the things you're feeling might be side effects of medication you're taking. because that is the big aha. That's a big change moment where you then can decide, okay, do I need to go back to my doctor and look for a different medication, or, am I okay with the side effects, or do I need to, find a completely different solution overall? So one of the main and very notable drugs that causes that depression and anxiety are a side effect for is contraceptives, which was a huge aha for me. So when you put that match next to the statistic that 60% of the people who are experiencing depression and anxiety are women, it's like it connects the dots, right? So we start to see, oh, well, there might be a reason, an underlying reason why this is the case. And I think that's a good place to look. So please check out your side effects for your medications. Blood sugar imbalance. This is also a very important place to look. Like, are you only eating one meal a day? Are you barely eating and then eating a whole bunch? Are you feast and famine? Is your blood sugar spiking because you're having like a real sweet thing in the morning and then nothing and it crashes? Those lows can definitely induce depression and it's sometimes anxiety too. So food intolerances too could be in there as well. Living in a way we are not evolved to live, right? So we're kind of all, probably most of us, in that place right now with all the technology we have at our fingertips. We're spending more screen time than ever, and maybe not connecting with those core things that bring us joy like we used to. So kind of taking stock and making sure you're spending your time the way you want to be, and making sure you have free time to just enjoy the world around you, to enjoy your loved ones, to do things that really bring you joy. And then being out of alignment with one's calling or life's purpose is also another place to look, to be kind of an investigative reporter and see, wow, am I really feeling like I'm not at the right job? And I'm not doing the things that I feel most passionate about in my life? Because those kinds of callings and alignment issues can definitely bring on depression. And I'm going to go into a little more detail about that in the next couple of slides. And number 8, not doing things that bring us joy. So like depriving ourselves. And I think as moms, a lot of times we take care of everybody else's needs first. And then maybe there's a little scrap or two left over for our own. So I highly encourage you, please, please, please put some self-care in there so that you can better take care of everybody else and maintain your emotional health. And I've got lots of tips coming later on in the slides for how to do that. So I also wanted to bring up this idea of depression as a gift, because sometimes something is seeking our attention. Something is asking to be heard and seen. And if we aren't listening, there are times when depression and or anxiety will take us down. If we keep not listening and not listening and not listening, I can pretty much guarantee you you're going to have one of those those aha moments where you just can't keep going on the way you are eventually. So it could be nutritional, it could be environmental, it could be emotional, it could be spiritual. So those are all, again, places for you to look, places for you to maybe journal about, to kind of dig into your life and see if it's really going the way that you want it to. And if it's not, to start now, right now, to make some changes. And I love this quote in the middle: you can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. So sometimes depression comes in when we really are at a turning point. We're at a point where we have to choose A or B, or we have to choose a new way of being in the world in order to be in alignment with ourselves. We can't continue ignoring it anymore. So if that's ringing off bells and light bulbs in your head, it's most likely that that's an issue for you. So now to fill in well, okay, how do we do these things? What kinds of things should I do instead of the things that I'm doing now? Is this page on healthy habits and where to look for imbalances. So again, your environment. What do you have in your medicine cabinet? You see this lovely medicine cabinet here. Hopefully some of you who've been using doTERRA for a while, maybe your medicine cabinet looks like this. And if it doesn't, and you'd like it to, it certainly can. It replacing things that are not healthy for us, and bringing in products that have these high quality ingredients and a natural process where they're in synergy with the body is a great place to look for, a good place to start for up-leveling your emotional health. Learning to listen to yourself. Do you take time? Do you just be still and go inside and listen to yourself? Because you have the information inside of you. It may not be clear yet because there might be too much else competing, other people's voices, your own self-talk. But as you start to clear some of that away, you will know what your body needs. And I'm going to give you some tools later on, some oil protocols that can help clear that clutter, clear that chatter that really isn't helpful. And then down here, we've got moving, right? We've got, are you allowing your body to move when it wants to? Sometimes we just experience an emotion. We experience a lot of joy, but we keep it still, or we're upset and we're sitting, or that movement. Often if we just get up and move, it can totally shift our perspective. So I'm bringing that back into you several times here just to remind you that that's an easy, you can do it in the moment kind of tool that you can employ in your life. And then over here on the lower right hand side, a diet that's high in healthy fats, and having something in the mornings that's going to sustain you. I like a smoothie that's packed with these healthy fats and nutrients. And you can there's many resources out there for dietary suggestions, but making that shift to having healthy whole foods and healthy fats in your diet can really make a huge difference. Okay, so taking action. So again, we're going to reduce stress. We're going to remove known toxins from our environment, eating a healthy whole food diet, listening to your body, moving often, taking daily actions that form healthy emotional patterns, which we'll go into, do things that bring you joy, and accept that call to action if you're being called. Realize that we don't actually get out of that. We can ignore it for a while and push it away, but we don't actually get to completely ignore it. Excuse me. So inflammation and toxicity and their connection to mood. I wanted to bring this to your attention because it's such an important point. The brain-gut connection. I'm sorry, I've got this tickle in my throat. The brain-gut connection is so key. And we have more and more research coming out letting us know how interconnected those two things are. So basically, when you have inflammation in your gut, it's also creating inflammation in your brain. So we need to get to the root of that inflammation and that often dysbiosis that's in the gut in order to have a healthy functioning brain. So one of the ways we can do that with doTERRA products is through nutrient support. And this nutrient support can help elevate your mood, reduce cortisol and inflammation, and increase the body's ability to eliminate toxins. Now, this is a big one, this being able to eliminate more toxins, because we unfortunately now are bombarded with toxins in our environment, in the air, in the water, even in the food that we eat. And really, instead of collapsing into despair about that, the thing to do is to look for ways to improve your body's ability to process these toxins and flush them out. And essential oils, and especially the Lifelong Vitality Pack, which I'm going to go into more detail in a minute, is an excellent way of giving yourself that extra insurance that you are able to flush these toxins out and maintain your health. So this toxicity can be a huge issue, and the signs of that you may have a buildup of toxins in your environment are over here on the right. So sugar cravings, lower inconsistent energy, bloating and gas, caffeine addiction, binge eating or drinking. And some of these habits too create their own issues as well, but they could be a symptom of toxicity. mood swings, irritability, anxiety, brain fog or difficulty concentrating, fluid retention, which is a big one for me. I notice when I am not, when I get a buildup of toxicity in my body, the first place I notice it is in fluid retention in my body. And then migraines or headaches can also be linked to toxicity as well. So the Lifelong Vitality Pack is this amazing product that has both nutritional support, it's anti-inflammatory in nature, and it's a gentle daily cleanse. So it's something you can do for yourself on a daily basis to kind of cover your bases there. I first started taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack because I wasn't like super excited about taking supplements. I'm kind of resistant to them, and I kind of didn't want to take supplements. So I didn't take them right away when I found doTERRA. But then I was like, well, I'm building this as a business. I really should try out all the products. So I'm going to try the Lifelong Vitality Pack. So I started with a half dose because I'm kind of sensitive, and that usually works better for me. And I could not believe how much better I felt. It was really literally within like 3 or 4 days. Now, again, I'm kind of hypersensitive, so it might take you a week, but I started to feel less brain fog, less joint pain, more energy. It was amazing. And I was just kind of in shock, really. I really didn't expect to be able to feel such a huge difference right away. So I highly recommend trying these. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and they are really your best defense against toxins in the environment, as well as you could do a more intensive cleanse, but this gives you something on a daily basis that's keeping you clear of toxins and helping support your inflammatory response, as well as giving your cells the nutritional support they need to function properly. Anyway, so I did start with a half dose, and then eventually I decided to try out the full dose, which I found was even better. So I highly recommend you can either ramp up to the full dose, or just start with the full dose if you're not on that more sensitive side like I am, and see how you feel, because I think you'll find that it makes a large difference for you. And I know countless other people, some people who have autoimmune conditions and arthritis, etc., who swear by this, who find it extremely useful. Then the next product I wanted to highlight for you was the DDR Prime, because it is packed with antioxidants, and it helps with healthy cell proliferation, and is also anti-inflammatory. And I found when I added it to my Lifelong Vitality Pack that I took daily, it boosted my health and wellness even more. And it especially assisted my mood, especially seemed to assist my lightness and brightness and mood. I mean, really, the Lifelong Vitality Pack was an incredible assistant in that I had, previous to that, I had sort of felt like when I woke up in the morning, I kind of had to dig myself out of a hole. If those of you who suffer from depression might recognize this sensation. Like it was like a lot of effort just to be like baseline okay, just getting up. And once I started taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack, that baseline was like way up here. So I would get up, I'd have energy, I'd be happy about going about my day. And it really was like a night and day change. So please try it out and let us know what you think. And then here I want to highlight these two products, the Terrazyme and the PB Assist, because supporting your digestion, when we think about the brain-gut connection, is extremely important. So you're going to want to cut out inflammatory foods if you are experiencing a lot of up and downs with your mood, or mostly, or a lot of down with your mood. Gluten and dairy were huge for me, and I'm sorry that those are the ones that taste so good, but they seem to be the ones that are mostly the culprits for inflammatory response with the foods we're eating. You can add fermented foods to beef up your gut flora, as well as healthy fats that we talked about before. And then the Terrazyme I found extremely useful. I take it with meals often, and I often take it at night before bed on an empty stomach because it particularly helps me with any inflammation and that like water retention that I've gotten during the day and clears it out by the next morning. So I really like that Terrazyme product. And then the PB Assist, I take one of those at least weekly, or if I'm doing a more intensive building up of my gut flora or cleansing, I might take it daily. And that's a really nice probiotic that's actually shelf stable. So it's a great one to keep in mind for travel, as well as the kids' PB Assist too is awesome. My kids love that one, and it tastes like pixie stick. So if you're wanting to get more probiotics into your children, definitely check out that PB Assist Junior. Okay, and then hormonal balance. Of course, we need to take a look in this arena for ourselves too, because that can definitely add to our emotional state, right? So Clary Calm is an amazing oil for balancing your hormones. It has it's an oil blend that has multiple essential oils in there, so it's helpful regardless of whether you're progesterone or estrogen dominant, and it helps even you out. And I definitely use that daily, especially at this point. I'm definitely perimenopausal, and I feel that really is helping even out any symptoms that I might have from that. And then the phytoestrogen goes along with the cleanse idea, because it actually helps clear off those receptor sites in your body, those estrogen receptor sites that the xenoestrogens that come from plastics in our environment can attach to and clog up, and then they cause our body to produce our hormones at the wrong rate, in the wrong proportions. So the phytoestrogen is a great assistant to the Clary Calm in balancing your hormones. And then citrus oils in your water, 2 to 3 drops, 2 to 3 times per day. Any of the citrus oils are great for assisting your liver process toxins. So that's another, and that can include hormones as well. So they can process extra hormones more efficiently. And then for blood sugar balance, I put down here on the bottom, the Slim and Sassy is an awesome metabolic blend that helps balance your blood sugar levels and reduce sugar cravings, which is going to then help you make better food choices. Okay, now we're going to go on to the next one. So parasites and candida. So this is some people may not realize that parasites and candida can definitely contribute to your emotional balance or lack thereof. And again, so the gut-brain connection here, so that is disrupted, and then we could be having emotional symptoms because of it. So the GX Assist is a very effective digestive cleanse for both parasites and candida, and you can utilize that in addition to the PB Assist and some other products. And you can look, I know we have a webinar on the Essential Wellness website on the cleanse too. So I recommend going and taking a look at that. I think Josie Schmidt, our naturopathic doctor who does a lot of these webinars, made a cleanse protocol webinar. So you can take a look at that. And then I wanted now to start to come into this territory where we're looking at some energetic uses of the essential oils. So this energetic cleansing protocol helps take care of parasitic kind of energy around you and helps you clear off things that are not truly you. So if you kind of feel like you're carrying around a lot of other people's baggage, and this happens especially to those of us who are highly sensitive, and you might find like if you tend to be more introverted, like to kind of stay at home and not interact with the world, or when you go out to interact with the world, you can only take so much and then it becomes too much. You probably are a highly sensitive person. This is definitely my world that I live in. I feel a lot of things from other people. So what I've found is that the essential oils are an extremely effective way at clearing negative energy and creating boundaries for yourself, which I'm going to go into in the next slide. So black pepper, melaleuca, and oregano down the spine is the protocol, and then helichrysum on the third eye. And this really only needs to be done one time. This is like clearing out that, it's the energetic counterpoint to parasites, basically, just parasitic gunk on you. So you can use the oregano touch roller, or you can dilute these other oils if you want, although the black pepper and melaleuca are really nice to get on there neat. You just a few drops down the spine, rub them in the oregano roller. And if you need to dilute with some fractionated coconut oil on top, that's fine. And then helichrysum right here in between the eyebrows on your third eye to really open and reset the system as you clear off that negativity. And this is a protocol that comes from Desiree Mangendog, if you're familiar with her work. And I'll be showing you her book and talking a little bit more about her in a minute. The other concept I wanted to bring to you is that neurons that wire together fire together. So this is a concept that Laura Jacobs spoke about at the convention last year. So if you listen to her presentation on emotional balance, this might sound familiar. Basically, what happens is, like, when a small child, if they were to experience abuse or something unhappy that happens when they're being touched, this is one example, like, then maybe when they're being held, that all comes up again and they can't really fully receive that loving touch because there's those neurons that have attached to each other from that negative traumatic experience that won't allow the positive one in. This down in the left here is a child, here's another example could be a child who's in school that gets shamed and, their work is not appreciated and they're, being told that they're a bad student and so then they start to associate school with a negative experience and it just compounds itself those two things become hooked in their brain. And then a real obvious example of this is veterans, as in combat, so that they're all sorts of things, that's a very high stress, highly activating your nervous system kind of situation. And so all sorts of things could become attached to that. Maybe what they had for breakfast that day, or a smell that's in the air, or having wet boots, or could be attached to being shot, or someone they know being killed or something like that. So we can see how having a traumatic instance or even just a super difficult experience in a certain environment could then link our neurons from other stimuli to that traumatic experience. And it can be very difficult to unhook those things. People have tried lots and lots of different kinds of therapy, but what we're finding is that aromatherapy has an amazing ability to unhook the negative experience from those neuron pairs that happen like that. So the limbic system controls our emotional life and the formation of our memories, this part of our brain. And if you look at this slide, you can see that there's a direct path from the nasal cavity to the olfactory bulb that goes right into the limbic system of the brain, which is so amazing because we actually can affect the brain through smell. And the molecules from the essential oils that we're inhaling have these amazing properties to them. The sesquiterpenes and the monoterpenes, et cetera, have particular qualities that enhance brain chemistry. So it's incredible that we can affect the brain so simply and easily this way. And so this is why doTERRA has focused a lot of attention on our emotional blends. And we have this whole array of emotional blends now, which I love, that are for different moods. So you can basically pick a mood that you want to create, or else you can use the little emotional wheel and see negative or a emotion that you're feeling, and then pick a corresponding oil. So for people who want a really simple, easy way to choose their chemical messengers for their brain. So the idea is when you might be having a negative experience, or you're in a lot of self-doubt, or you're in a lot of distress, you could choose one of these oils and rewire your brain with a positive experience. So you don't have to stay stuck in that negativity and that feedback loop of fear or anxiety or whatever it is. You can use these essential oils to interrupt that, which is just incredible. And I love the way the system is laid out, and it's very, very simple to use. So they make these emotional blends in the touch roller form, which are already diluted. So they're super easy to use topically. And then they also make the 5 ml bottles that you can use like in a diffuser. So whichever way you're wanting to use them, that will help you choose which of those kits you might want to purchase. And they also are available singly as well. So I wanted to now bring your attention, for those of you who want to dig a little deeper into how to use essential oils for emotional balance, there's these 2 wonderful books. And the one on the left is from Desiree Mangendog, whose course, whose Awake Yourself course I just finished. And it was amazing. I highly recommend. You can go to her website, DesireeMangendog.com, and check out her offerings there. And you'll see a number of the protocols that she showed us in the course in the next few slides here too. This book has all sorts of amazing, wonderful blends in it for different kinds of emotional support. So I highly recommend that one. If you like to play with your oils and make concoctions and make blends for yourself, it is so fun and empowering to have those tools at your fingertips. And then this Emotions and Essential Oils book is very like a must-have resource, really, if you're diving in deeper to the essential oils, because it goes oil by oil and gives you the emotional aspects of the oils, and it will help round out your knowledge of what these oils can be used for. And there's also another wheel. This is different than that other wheel I showed you. This is a wheel that goes with every single oil, and I believe the blends are on there too, and corresponds an emotion to it. Those are, I recommend getting the wheel and the book together, and you can order those on aromatools.com as well as probably Amazon. So yeah, those are 2 awesome book resources. So this next protocol, or this series of protocols, are really about stress, anxiety, and sleep issues, right? Because those often come up during for people who have issues with their emotional balance. So Breathe has been one of my most trusted resources for basically like panic attacks, for lots of anxiety. And it's 1 drop in my palm and then inhale, or a drop on my chest, has been so helpful for me, especially if I'm traveling. I find that's a really easy thing to have, and it clears your airways too, so that's also nice. But the reason I think that works so well is because it makes us take a deep breath and breathe more deeply. And when we have anxiety, we tend to breathe shallowly, and then we get into this feedback loop of breathing shallowly gives you anxiety, and then you breathe more shallowly. So you're interrupting that feedback loop with that drop of breathe. So try that out and see what you think next time you're feeling that way. And then vetiver, 1 drop rubbed on the wrists. You can also do a drop on your third eye if you feel called to, but this helps us have more clarity. It's very calming. It's a calming oil. It's a little bit sedative in nature, so it can bring that anxiety and activated energy down and kind of ground you. It's from a root, and so it's a very grounding oil. And it helps you self-reflect. It helps you get out of the spinning, oh no, and reflect on, wow, well, what else might I look at? What other steps can I take? So that's a great also thing to do for stress and anxiety. And then for sleep over here, you've got 2 to 3 drops each of balance, cedarwood, and patchouli. either diffused, or you can mix 5 drops each in a 5 ml roller and then use it topically. Back of the neck, wrists, inside of the elbow creases would all be great places to use it. And these oils really help calm us down for a peaceful night's sleep. I think there are definitely other ones you could use, but these are just the ones that I prefer. And that seem to work really well for me, and also are ones that Desiree has recommended. Okay, so now we're to the boundaries. Now this is a huge thing, for me at least, was realizing that I could actually clear negativity and create boundaries with my essential oils. So I was a massage therapist for 13 years, and that was definitely something that I always was looking for new ways to make sure that I had some boundaries, because being a highly sensitive person, I would feel pretty much everything that the person I was working on was feeling. And then sometimes at the end of the session, it was hard to unfeel it. It helped me work, but then I would need to clear it out. Or I was constantly looking for ways I could maybe dip my toe in and not fully feel everything, and then still get the information, but not take it on myself. So diffusing white fir and lemongrass in your home can really help clear any negativity that's coming from others, or that's even in your home itself. Sometimes there are leftover energies from people who've lived there before, and you can help clear those out by diffusing this combination of white fir and lemongrass. White fir is really amazing at clearing generational issues, like back into history, into the generations. And then lemongrass helps us let go of negative patterning, of that negative self-talk that often can come in. So, and then creating healthy boundaries. This blend is so awesome to have on hand. And you can, once you've done that clearing negativity protocol I gave you before with the oils down the spine, you can make this blend up for yourself and apply around the belly button and up the midline for about 2 weeks. And it will help build your boundaries and so that you keep clear of those parasitic and negative energies that might be coming your way. So the blend is 5 clove, 8 petitgrain, 12 melaleuca, 5 marjoram, 3 cedarwood, and 1 lime in a 5 ml roller with fractionated coconut oil. And there are several versions of this blend, but they all have about these same oils in there. So if you feel moved to experiment around with it, feel free. The main ones are the petitgrain, the melaleuca, and the clove that really help to build those boundaries. All right. So relieving anger and frustration. This, of course, is another thing that can come up as we're balancing our emotions, or we're going through detox, we're clearing out our we're making a change in our lives. Sometimes it's not just completely smooth, right? We hit some bumps in the road, and this will help you get through those bumps with more grace. And that is a drop each over the liver, which is on the right side of your body, just right around your rib cage, right below your rib cage, of cardamom and cypress. And these oils really help calm that anger down and move it out. The cypress is amazing for moving chi and moving energy out. So try that next time you're feeling frustrated or angry. There's also a version of this blend that's called road rage. So if you find yourself having a lot of that, you could get just like a cotton ball, and it all you have to do is add a drop of lime, and then that's the road rage blend. So cardamom, cypress, and lime on a drop on a cotton ball stuffed into the vent of your car, and you'll have a little diffuser in there as you're driving. So that could be great. Now, this blend I love as a uplift your mood blend. So a nice thing to have in your house once you've cleared the negativity out with your lemongrass and white fir, you could put on your Life is Good blend, which is 2 cedarwood, 2 grapefruit, 2 lime, and 1 spikenard. And this is a delicious smelling blend, and it really does uplift you. There's a lot of research out there showing the effectiveness on especially citrus oils of elevating the mood. So I highly recommend trying it for yourself and see what you experience. My guess is that you will feel a difference. Then, of course, cultivating gratitude. This is a practice that in so many ways can pull us out of a negative thought pattern and help us really focus on the things that are wonderful and amazing in our lives. So if you don't already keep a gratitude journal, that's another thing that you could try. And writing down each day or when you think of it, things that you're grateful for, and see how that makes you feel. And I put this blend in here for those of you who are like, I don't want to do that. That's irritating or whatever, if you're not in the place to receive gratitude yet, you can use essential oils to help you get to that place. So this warm embrace blend, which is 4 cinnamon, 6 tangerine, 4 eucalyptus, 3 lemon, 4 cardamom in a 5 ml roller ball with fractionated coconut oil. You can put that on the heart, the insides of your wrists, or the insides of your forearms to help promote a sense of feeling taken care of, feeling, it's supposed to be like that big, nice, warm hug that somebody gives you, which leads the way for having more gratitude, right? Sometimes when we have a hard time having gratitude, it's because we are hurting. It's because we don't feel that support. It's because we don't feel that embrace. And this is a way to use your oils to help get you past that place so that you can cultivate gratitude. And then you'll see that more of what you're seeking, more of what you are hoping for will start to show up in your life because you're more open to it. You have that welcoming vibration going on to bring more wonderful things into your life. Now, I put this in here for anyone who's watching this or who knows someone who's really in that dark night of the soul place. Now, I definitely have experienced this place firsthand, and I would have loved to have had something like this to turn to for support. I didn't have the oils when I was in that place, but this Out of Darkness blend is a beautiful combination of oils to support you out of that dark place and into more hope. So it's 8 bergamot, 5 ginger, 8 lemon, 3 peppermint, 2 juniper berry, 2 frankincense, 1 eucalyptus, 1 clary sage, and 1 lang lang, and 1 white fir, all in a 5 ml roller topped with fractionated coconut oil. You can apply this to the heart area, the back of the neck, the insides of the wrist. You can apply it up to 5 times a day when you're in this place. You're basically just interrupting that pattern. You're like, no, it's not hopeless. There is hope. There is hope. There is hope. There is hope. Use at least 3 times a day for 2 weeks. And then I put this question on the side because I think this also can be a really useful thing for someone to do when they're in this place, and is to really just, if they can imagine the healthiest, happiest version of their self that they could ever imagine, they can at least see it in their mind, then they can start to create that reality for themselves. So it helps direct their thoughts into a productive place where they can start to move out of that deep despair into a hopeful place. Now I wanted to go through some self-care practices. So I talked a little bit about that in the beginning, about how important self-care is. And really, like, when we take care of ourselves, we are taking care of everyone around us also. Again, as moms, we often put this on the back burner, and I am here to tell you that's really not an option. You will burn yourself out if you don't take care of yourself. So please, please, please make sure you have some things in your life that are just for you, that you know bring you joy. And if you're not even sure what that is, that's why I put this protocol in here, is you can put sandalwood, Hawaiian sandalwood, on the insides of the wrists and the third eye to help you recognize the need for self-care and help you know what your body and your spirit want for self-care. And this quote I value myself and am worthy of taking care of all of my needs. You could say that as you're putting that oil on. And you may need to do that a number of times just to get that really in your consciousness. We're, with a lot of these things I'm showing you, we're working at repatterning destructive mental patterns that may be in your mind. I'm not worthy. I don't value myself. I don't need to take care of my needs. I need to take care of everyone else's needs. So once you recognize that that's going on, you can use some of these tools to interrupt that pattern, but you need to be persistent. So when those things come up, you say, no, I'm not going to let my mind stray into that territory. I'm going to use my essential oils and I'm going to interrupt that patterning right now. I'm not having that anymore. No. So Hawaiian sandalwood is the oil of sacred devotion. So it really calls upon your higher self and your commitment to your own spiritual growth and your own care of yourself. And that's why we're utilizing it here. Number 2, self-care. So you see how important self-care is? I actually have 3 slides on self-care. So cultivating self-love. And I put this in here because I really love this blend from Desiree Megendog. This is the I Love Myself blend. You can put it on your wrist creases, on your heart, and the back of your neck. 12 grapefruit, 8 eucalyptus, 5 coriander, 3 ginger, 2 cinnamon, 1 lavender, 1 lemon, and 1 spearmint. And you can say the words, I love myself, when you put it on. And really just nurturing yourself with this blend will help you want to take better care of yourself. And if you're wondering about why all these different oils are used here, please take a look at Desiree's book that I highlighted a few slides back. She has a breakdown of all the emotional aspects of each oil and why they're in each blend. It's really fascinating to read, and it will really deepen your understanding of these essential oils and the many different uses of them. I have to say that since I've been taking her course, I found a whole new level of appreciation and love for my entire essential oil box. And I now am utilizing it so much more fully than I ever did before. So I highly recommend checking out that book and her course. So self-care 3, making time for daily rituals. So these are just little things that you could do throughout your day that give your body and your mind the message that you matter. So you're helping your body and you're just helping your inner self know that you matter and your needs are important when you do these things. So, and these are just a few. I picked out a few that I really like to highlight here, but there's so many DIY recipes and other things I'm sure you could think of to do. So do whatever feels right for you. But I love to do a salt bath with Epsom salt and some pink Himalayan salt. And I love that sleep blend, like before bed, the balance, the cedarwood, and the patchouli in there, a couple drops each in my bath. Then I adore the Virage skincare line, and I use that on my face pretty much daily. And I was never a skincare, face care kind of person, but I find that not only do I love the way my skin feels after, but it helps me just stop for a minute and take care of myself. When I do that whole little routine, it's just for me, and I'm committing to my self-care every time I do it. And then that lime and peppermint foot scrub, you can find that recipe online if you just Google it, is another thing that's fun to do periodically. Or you can make some kind of shower scrub or, a sugar scrub or whatever you'd like to do. And then remember that when you care for yourself, you have more to give to others. You're really broadening your reach because you need to fill your own cup up before you can give to others, really. And if your cup is empty, that's when we really can veer into that territory of taking that plummet into those negative emotions that can be, and it can be harder to get out of them. So if you keep yourself in this place of daily self-care, you will reap the benefits tenfold. So the last thing that I want to ask of you is that as you're finding the tools that are helpful for you and you're seeing how to use these oils on a deeper level, please pay it forward. Please share with your friends. Please let them know that these tools are available and that, maybe alert them to some of those things that we went through, like have them check out their medications and see if they have side effects and see what kind of products are in their home that they may not realize are contributing to ill health. And you can really help people so profoundly by sharing these. So I just encourage you all, if you aren't already using these products, to start today. Bring some of these products into your home, into your life, have them available to you so you can experiment with them, you can play with them and see what kinds of positive responses you can get from yourself and from your whole family. And so please connect with the person who invited you to this webinar if you'd like to order. And I am so happy to have been here today, and I love all of you, and thank you for watching, and have an awesome day.